Hi everybody, Paul Haywood here. This is a little video to show you how to make your playing sound a bit more professional or less amateur. Now, something I found in my private lessons is a lot of the time it's actually taking some bad habits and bad practices out that will make your playing sound more professional. So I thought, let's just have a little look at some of the biggest things to make sure you're not doing that can be a block to your playing sounding a bit more professional. So let's take a nice little tune. Let's take Amazing Grace. So we can play it nicely. Okay, now I'm going to put in all these bad habits and see if you can recognise any of these in your own playing. Okay, so I'm putting in as many of them as I can possibly can. So hopefully you spotted that the second one was the less professional sounding one. So let's look at what was wrong with the second one, and we'll take each thing out and deal with it. So hopefully we can get sounding a bit better. So first of all, I wasn't tonguing the notes properly. Okay. No matter how good you play, if you don't tongue the note properly, you're not going to get a good attack, a nice clean start to the note. So make sure you're not breath starting. Make sure you're actually putting your tongue here against the bottom of the reed. Okay. Now, if you want to get a big attack to the tonguing, you can close it off completely, build up air pressure behind, and release. That gives them more of a t kind of sound. Hear that loud attack? If you want to get a slightly less aggressive sound, then you're going to want to do what's called flutter tonguing, which is actually just the sort of correct saxophone tonguing, really. And that's where you don't shut off the airflow completely. You just rest your tongue just on it. You just touch the tip of the reed to stop it from vibrating. So that gives us either no tonguing to more aggressive tonguing. Well, let's do the d tonguing, more of a flutter tonguing, just touching the reed. Okay, hear the difference between all those? So that's number one. Sort your tonguing out and you're going to have a better sounding performance. Secondly, stop playing out of tune. It might sound really basic, but it's something that is so fundamentally important. All players, need to think about this throughout the entirety of their career, really. And it's not just tuning your instrument up in the first place. So right down to basics. If you pull your mouthpiece further out, you make your instrument longer, and so it goes lower pitch. Bigger instruments have got lower pitches, right? And if you push it back on further, then the instrument gets shorter, so it goes higher pitch. Okay, so a lower pitch makes it go flatter, and a higher pitch makes it go sharper. So that's how you tune it. I would fully recommend either getting on your phone, a tuning app, or buying a little tuner, but also using your ears and trying to tune up to other instruments if you've got any around. But a tuner is going to, a tuner app or a little separate standalone tuner is going to be a good solid reference. And the way to work with that is to, first of all, just play a note and see if you're in tune. Play several notes across the range of the instrument. Middle one, middle G, G up to C, E, up to A, top C, and all the way back down, so you're playing down low D, stuff like that. and to see where that's coming. Now, if you find that every single note is registering sharp, then obviously you need to pull your mouthpiece off or relax your embouchure. If every single note is flat on the tuner, then push your mouthpiece on a bit to make the instrument a bit more high pitch. Or it could be that you're just too slack on the embouchure, but I don't really recommend people try and squeeze their embouchure to improve your tuning, really. I would say it's better to get your mouthpiece in the right place rather than add tension to your embouchure. Now, once you've found that, roughly the aggregate of your notes are somewhere in the realms of being in tune, then you might need to consider the intonation of the instrument. You might find that the top half of it is a bit sharp, the bottom half is a bit flat, or vice versa. And at that point, that's down to you getting to know your instrument, if there's any particular notes that are one way or the other, and also making sure you're not squeezing on the top notes. It's something a lot of people do, squeeze their embouchure too much on the top notes, and it actually sends it sharp. So don't do that. We'll look at specifically how to tune high notes in another video, because it's a slightly different, a longer-winded subject. So the second thing to do, practice with your tuner, would be then to play a note away, not looking at the tuner, then look at the tuner and see if you were right. And then if it was wrong, then you go away, try and get it in tune with the tuner, look away, start the note again, look at the tuner, have you get it? Because there's no point just always playing looking at a tuner. You're getting used to just being told whether you're in tune or not. So you need to be told whether you're in tune or not, take that information away, see if you can pitch it properly, come back and see if you got it right. So you might get it, think, right, I think I've got it now, come back and you've actually sent it too far flat, so you need to readjust what you do. Okay, so tuning. Okay, so the other thing, bending notes to cover up a lack of confidence of what pitch or note you're going to. So if say we've sorted out our tuning roughly, and we've sorted out our tonguing. Okay, so bending notes on every note is going to sound bad, and the reason it sounds bad and amateurish is because it's done by younger players a lot when they're not actually sure what note you're jumping to. So say you were jumping up to that F sharp, we're going A, D, F sharp, that's the start, playing in D major. Because they're not entirely sure what pitch is going to come out, whether the tuning is going to be right or not. So you just bend the note, and then you've got that room. Just bend it into tuning, into the note you're expecting. But listeners and musicians alike will kind of recognise if you're doing that too much, that you're not doing it as a musical device to add feel or expression. You're doing it to cover the fact that you're not strong and confident. So the way to deal with that is to develop confidence in moving in bigger intervals. So that would mean practicing scales and patterns in a way that includes bigger intervals, bigger jumps, and also again working with the tuner, picking a note, playing a note in tune, looking away, jumping up to a higher note. So you could play the A at the beginning of the tune that we're doing, Amazing Grace. So we play the A, look at the tuner, get yourself in tune, and then look away and jump to the F sharp right at the top. Then come back, look at the tuner and see where you are. You could be miles off, you could be really near it, sharp, flat, you just don't know. But when you come back and find out, then you're like, that's actually where you are, and you're learning your instrument, you're building your instrument. It's really important to understand that as saxophonists, a lot of our instrument is actually our embouchure, our tone chamber, and even down your throat. So don't squeeze your throat when you're playing. It's an important, just extra little tip. You want to keep that nice and relaxed and open, because that's all part of the instrument. The shape and amount of space we have there and what we do with it has a huge impact on how the saxophone sounds, and it's one of the reasons why saxophones are so unique. Every sound is unique to each player because we've all got different genetics, different biologies, and that's cool, really good. But it does mean that we've got a lot of responsibility over the sound we make. Okay, so stop bending notes habitually to cover up the fact that you're not exactly sure how that note's supposed to sound. Okay, practice jumping bigger intervals so you know where you're going, your ears know where you're going, and you can hit it spot on. Not. Okay, and that just takes time. Ears, working with it. It's development from the tuning side of things, but it's not a good habit to have. Finally, stop using vibrato as a habit, again, to cover up bad tone. So if you're confident with the tone that you're making on the instrument, then you should let that sing out. Let the listener hear it. There you go, so I saved a bit of vibrato right to the end of that little phrase, and the rest didn't have any. Putting vibrato over everything, people can tend to do because they're trying to cover up bad tone, or they're not confident with their tone just playing it. Or it could be they don't have the lip strength to maintain a nice steady even tone, and that's where practicing long tones really comes into play. So for long tone practice, you can just pick any note, play a couple of bars worth, restart it, play it. I'm going to put up an exercise, specifically a tone exercise, so keep an eye out for that one, and that's going to be a separate video in itself. But doing long tone exercises is a really important thing to develop. It's basically a workout for your lip. Not only are you working out your lip, but you're also getting to know the feeling of playing straight long tones, and that's a really important thing to do. Okay, so you know each of those notes, to know that you can play them smooth and in tune, and everything we want from the notes. And then if you want to put on a bit of vibrato, you can, but you're adding vibrato to a clean slate rather than having a messy slate, and sort of just using vibrato to cover it all up. Okay, so we've taken off, we've taken off bad tonguing, we've taken off playing out tune, we've taken off bending notes too much habitually to cover up a lack of confidence of what note you're going to, and we've also taken off a habitual use of vibrato to cover up bad tone. Okay, so you strip all those off. Now you might find there's a couple of parts of your playing that you're not too happy with. You might find, oh, actually, my tuning's not too good, or my tone's not how I want it to be, that you've discovered after taking off all these sort of crotches. But that then means that you've discovered what it is you really need to work on your saxophone to take it to the next level. And that is going to be a really strong way to move yourself from sounding amateurish to professionalish. All right. Hopefully that's giving you a bit of insight. It's learning to play a saxophone, the sound it makes. There's so many different aspects to tackle, but there's some main ones that keep cropping up in the private lessons that I give, and they sort of get in the way a lot. So see if you can tackle those, and hopefully that'll help it. So if it has been a helpful video, remember to hit like, leave me a comment, and ask me any questions. I'll try and get back to you. And remember to subscribe to catch future uploads. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.